When I bought my new house in Maplewood Estates, I thought I'd finally found peace. The street was quiet, the lawns were perfect, and the HOA promised community harmony. But that illusion shattered the day I met Karen, the self-proclaimed neighborhood standards officer. Karen was the kind of person who could spot a violation from 3 blocks away. My first interaction with her was a lecture about my trash can being visible from the street. "We like things tidy here," she'd said, her tight smile never reaching her eyes. I brushed it off. Everyone has a nosy neighbor, right? A week later, I installed new security cameras that connected to my phone. I travel for work, so being able to monitor my property remotely gave me peace of mind. Little did I know those cameras would soon catch something shocking. It started with small things: footprints near my side gate, a garden hose uncoiled when I hadn't used it. I assumed kids were cutting through the yard. But then, one Thursday afternoon, while I was away at a conference, my phone buzzed with a motion alert from the garage cam. I tapped the notification. The live feed loaded. And there she was, Karen, standing in my driveway, clipboard in hand, glaring at my garage door as if it had personally insulted her. She pressed her face closer, squinting through the window panel. Then she reached into her tote bag, pulled out a keychain with several keys, and tried one in the side door lock. My heart stopped. She jiggled it, failed, and sighed loudly. Then she muttered something I couldn't hear and pulled out her phone, snapping photos of the driveway and the door. I hit record on the app, my hand trembling. What on earth was she doing? She walked away after a few minutes. But I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. I saved the footage and called my friend Jason, who lived 2 streets over. "Man," he said after watching the clip, "that's beyond nosy. That's breaking and entering." He wasn't wrong. I decided to keep quiet, for now. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she was checking on something HOA related. But deep down, I knew Karen wasn't just inspecting the neighborhood. She was hunting for control. And for some reason, my garage had become her latest target. I didn't realize it yet. But that video was just the beginning of a war that would turn Maplewood Estates upside down. The following Saturday, the HOA held its monthly meeting at the clubhouse. I figured I'd attend, maybe clear up whatever Karen thought she was doing near my property. The moment I walked in, though, her eyes locked onto me like a hawk spotting prey. "Oh, there you are, Mr. Davis," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "We were just discussing your garage situation." "My what?" I asked, sitting down slowly. A few neighbors exchanged awkward glances. Karen adjusted her oversized pearl necklace and smiled thinly. "Several residents have noticed unusual storage habits. Items visible through your garage windows that don't align with HOA standards." I almost laughed. "You mean my lawnmower?" She ignored the comment. "The HOA bylaws clearly state that tools, boxes, and unsightly materials must be kept out of public view." I was verifying compliance when you tried to open my garage door, I interrupted. The room went quiet. A few people gasped. Karen froze, then forced a chuckle. "Excuse me. I have video footage," I said, pulling up my phone. "You, standing at my door, trying your keys in the lock. Want me to play it?" Her face drained of color. The HOA president, an older man named Ron, cleared his throat nervously. Let's take a step back. I'm sure this was a misunderstanding." Karen stammered, "I was performing an inspection." "You're not authorized to inspect private property," I replied evenly. "And if you were, you'd need my consent, or a warrant." Murmurs rippled through the room. Karen's usual supporters shifted in their seats, avoiding her gaze. Ron looked at me with a mixture of sympathy and panic. "Mr. Davis, perhaps we can resolve this privately." I nodded. "Fine. But the next time anyone touches my property, I'll file a police report." When the meeting ended, several neighbors approached me quietly. "She's gone too far," one whispered. "Last month she was photographing people's driveways." Another said. She once threatened to fine me for having garden gnomes. By the time I got home, I had 3 emails from neighbors forwarding Karen's past inspection notices. A pattern was forming. She'd been creeping around everyone's property under the guise of enforcing rules. That night, I installed 2 more cameras, one facing the street, another covering the backyard. I wasn't taking chances. Something told me Karen wasn't done. And as the next alert would prove, she was about to make her boldest move yet. It was 2:13 a.m. when my phone buzzed with another motion alert. Groggy and irritated, I almost ignored it. But the label, garage, movement detected, snapped me awake. I opened the live feed. There she was again. Karen. Dressed in a pale pink robe. Flashlight in one hand, her other hand tugging on my garage handle. She looked around nervously, muttering to herself. My first instinct was to yell through the camera's speaker. But I decided to let it play out. This was undeniable proof now. She crouched near the door, inspecting something. Then she pulled out a small notepad, scribbling something down. I zoomed in on the screen. She was writing, unapproved storage. My jaw dropped. Suddenly, she pulled a Slim Jim from her pocket. A Slim Jim. She tried to wedge it into the side seam of the door like she was breaking into a car. My blood ran cold. I called the police, explaining that a neighbor was attempting to break into my garage. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line while officers were sent. I kept watching through the app as Karen continued fiddling, clearly frustrated. Then the headlights of a police cruiser swept across the street. She froze. The officers stepped out, flashlights shining. "Ma'am," one called out, "what are you doing?" Karen straightened, plastering on her fake smile. "Oh. Officers. I'm with the HOA. I was performing a community safety inspection." "At 2 in the morning?" the officer asked, unimpressed. "Well, yes," she stammered. "This resident has been storing dangerous materials." I unmuted the camera. "Officers, she doesn't have permission to be there. I have her on video right now." Both officers turned toward the camera, then back to her. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to step away from the property." She sputtered, insisting she was doing her duty. But the officers escorted her off my driveway. They took a statement from me over the phone and confirmed they'd make a formal report. When morning came, I woke to a dozen messages from neighbors. Someone had filmed the flashing lights outside my house and posted it in the community Facebook group. By noon, the post had exploded. Everyone was talking about how the HOA queen had been caught trespassing. Karen went silent. For the first time since I'd moved in, the neighborhood was quiet. But I knew she wouldn't go down without a fight. HOA Karens never do. And I was right. 2 days later, an emergency HOA meeting was called. The entire neighborhood showed up, everyone except Karen. The air buzzed with tension. Ron, the HOA president, looked exhausted. "We're here to address the recent incident involving one of our board members," he began. People immediately started shouting. "She broke into his garage. She's been harassing us for months." Ron raised his hands. "Please, one at a time. The board has reviewed the police report and Mr. Davis's footage. We've also received multiple complaints from residents regarding unauthorized inspections." He sighed. "Effective immediately. Karen Peterson is suspended from her position as compliance officer and barred from any enforcement activities pending legal review." Applause erupted. Some neighbors actually cheered. A few even hugged each other. I stood quietly in the back, arms crossed, watching the chaos unfold. It wasn't satisfaction I felt, it was relief. Relief that someone finally saw through her act. After the meeting, Ron approached me privately. "I'm sorry this happened," he said. Karen's enthusiasm got out of hand. "We'll make sure nothing like this happens again." I nodded. "Appreciate it. But I'm not dropping the police report." She tried to enter my home. He hesitated, then nodded solemnly. Understood. That night, as I sat in my living room watching the security feeds, I felt something shift. The neighborhood that once felt tense now seemed lighter. People waved when I walked by, even thanked me for standing up to her. Apparently, Karen had been bullying the entire block for years, hiding behind HOA rules to fuel her power trip. A week later, a moving truck appeared outside her house. No one helped her pack. She avoided everyone's eyes, muttering angrily as boxes piled into the truck. By sunset, she was gone. I checked my camera one last time that evening. The feed showed my quiet driveway, undisturbed. No more motion alerts, no more prying eyes. Just peace. When I posted a short message on the community board, for everyone's safety, remember to set up cameras. They really do catch everything. The reactions poured in. Dozens of likes. Comments of gratitude. One simply said, "Good riddance." I looked out my window and smiled. Sometimes justice doesn't need drama or revenge, it just needs evidence. Karen had tried to invade my space, my privacy, and my peace. But thanks to one small camera and a bit of patience, she ended up exposing herself instead. And as I watched the sunset over Maplewood Estates, I realized something. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting the truth roll on camera.